It was really important to me that we physically show up, and we've brought just a fraction of people who attend our congregations in the Winnipeg area.
Tonight, church groups join the call to search landfills for the remains of missing Winnipeg women.
We had an enormous, maybe 1,000 dancers come and help us heal.
Plus, 1 year after the James Smith Cree Nation mass stabbing, the community reflects. Good evening, Tanse Anin. Welcome to APTN National News. I'm Daryl Stranger. A former Grand Chief Arlen Dumas of the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs is being sued for alleged sexual battery. According to an August 30th filing, the woman alleges Dumas committed at least 8 incidents of sexual battery, including one where Dumas, quote, overpowered her, put her on her stomach on the bed, wrapped his arms tightly around her to restrain her, and forcibly sexually penetrated her. APTN is not naming the woman due to the sexual nature of the allegations. Calls to the woman's lawyer have not been answered. In March 2022, the woman reported the alleged assaults to Winnipeg Police, and the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs found the woman's complaints substantiated by a third-party investigation. This led to Dumas being removed as Grand Chief in August of that year. Winnipeg Police have not announced charges against Dumas and would not confirm an investigation is ongoing. Emails to Dumas's lawyer have not been returned. The woman is seeking damages of $426,000 for mental anguish, loss of dignity, and medical care. Now, Dumas called the allegations unfounded back in March of 2022. None of the allegations have been proven in court, and no criminal charges have been laid. Well, September 4th was the 1-year anniversary of the James Smith Cree Nation mass stabbing. That day, 10 people from the James Smith Cree Nation were stabbed to death when 32-year-old Miles Sanderson went on a rampage in the central Saskatchewan community. One other person was stabbed to death nearby in the town of Weldon. 17 others were wounded but survived the attacks. Miles Sanderson died on September the 7th, 2022, shortly after he was arrested. He went into medical distress and died while in RCMP custody. A year after the stabbings, a committee created by the Parole Board of Canada and Correctional Service of Canada is investigating circumstances around Sanderson's release from federal custody. They will share their findings and make recommendations after the investigation is finished. Leadership and community members gathered over the weekend to mark the anniversary in a positive way. And joining us now is Chief Calvin Sanderson of Checkastapison Band, one of 3 bands making up James Smith Cree Nation. Chief Sanderson, welcome and thank you for taking a few minutes to speak with us today. It's been a year since the tragedy. What did the community do to remember the lives that were lost?
In the past 2 weeks, I guess more or less I'll go back to our traditional healing health gathering on August 21st. We had a celebration here for membership to come and participate and talk to the wellness and the healers and the sweat lodges. And then after that, August 31st, we had our own treaty days for our membership to gather, for anybody to come participate. Then finally, we had our powwow September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and we had an enormous, maybe 1,000 dancers come and help us heal and pray for our membership in our community on and off at large. So we had lots of healing process here in the past month and a half here in the community. And I'm very grateful that our membership participated in that. Yes, some of the membership that are out there are still struggling, are still trying to apprehend, I guess, the incident that we endured last September 2022.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned some of the things that the community has done over the past year to heal. What will the community continue to do as well into the future?
What we're anticipating and commemorating our membership that we lost in a year or so is to continue our healing path with our membership and celebrate with them to support each and every one of them to continue to heal as they continue to struggle in our community. We're there, and we have our therapist, and also for them to speak to our ministers, our elders, our knowledge keepers. And it's very difficult for them to maybe come and participate. I can understand that, but I can't force them to go out and ask for, they have to heal on their own, and they want their space. They just want their space and celebrate on their own, in their own ways. So we got to respect that too. And I've been doing that with the families, and it's been an honor for the past few weeks here in the community to support as much as I can at my end as a chief, and also as a father and a grandfather, and also a band member too.
Mm-hmm. And a last one for you here, Chief Sanderson. What can people outside of your community do to help support everyone?
Continue to support us as we go through another year. Come and support us. If you want to come and visit us, we have events that do go all year round in our community. It's open for anybody to come and participate. Come and talk to families if you have time. We have some membership or some social. Sorry about that. There's many activities that are happening throughout the year, and I'm very grateful that people are coming in to come and support us as the day and the months continue to go by. We've been doing as much as we can, concentrating on the wellness center, making sure that our membership are continue to be safe in the community, and make sure that what they need is that it's there for them, not to isolate them, that we continue to try and support them in each day as the days goes by.
Well, Chief Sanderson, we'll have to leave it there, but I want to say again, thank you, miigwech, to you for coming on and speaking with us for just a few minutes today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and mustasinche.
In Manitoba, leaders of major church denominations are standing in solidarity with the families of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. They are calling on the provincial government to search a Winnipeg area landfill for the remains of 3 Indigenous women. Tamir Pimentel has more.
For the supporters of Camp Morgan and Camp Mercedes, this is what reconciliation looks like. Representatives and members of a number of church groups joined the camp outside the Brady landfill to help amplify the voices calling for a search of the Prairie Green landfill near Winnipeg. It's where the remains of Morgan Harris, Mercedes Myron, and Buffalo Woman are believed to be.
It was really important to me that we physically show up, and we've brought just a fraction of people who attend our congregations in the Winnipeg area. There are so many more Christian, non-Indigenous households in this area who stand in solidarity with you.
Reverend Dr. Carmen Lansdowne with the United Church of Canada is a member of the Hiltzuck First Nation. She helped bring the group together. Camp Morgan has been here since December 2022, and the new Camp Mercedes is now outside the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. In July, Manitoba's Premier Heather Stephenson said she would not fund the millions needed to perform a search that won't guarantee an outcome. Since then, experts have come forward claiming that the search is feasible, and the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs called for Stephenson to resign. Lansdowne says if the tables were turned, the search would go on.
If this was Premier Stephenson's daughter, there would be no question. If this was the police chief of Winnipeg's daughter, there would be no question. We act like we have never searched a landfill for a body before, that we've never spent $1 million to search for $1 million to search for a missing person before, that we didn't just send the military to aid in searching for billionaires lost in a faulty submarine. This is systemic racism at its best, at its worst.
A national concern Bishop Susan Johnson says stems from systemic racism.
I am before you as a settler Canadian, and I have a message that says This is not just an Indigenous issue. This is an issue for all Canadians. This is a shame upon our nation that the systemic racism that our country is based on continues to this day.
AMC Grand Chief Kathy Merrick says she hopes the gathering sends a message to the rest of Canadians.
Being here today and being able to talk and being able to bring issues forward without asking. And that was one of the good things about what's happening today. We did not ask. You came forward.
Tamara Pimentel, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
All right, it's time for us to step aside briefly here on the program. Still to come, the only addiction center for Indigenous teens in Quebec opens its doors.
The program itself is really culturally rooted, based on strengths to reinforce that hope, meaning, purpose, and belonging that the youth might have lost along their journey.
Welcome back to APTN National News. It was 3 weeks ago today when a wildfire forced more than 20,000 residents of Yellowknife to leave their homes. And after many days, the long-awaited return started this afternoon. The evacuation order was set to expire at noon today. The highway that connects the city to Alberta doesn't appear to be facing any threats from fires this week, but Mayor Rebecca Alty says not everyone will be returning today.
It's a big sigh of relief being able to get folks to start coming home today, but of course it will take a number of days, and then anybody with medical concerns like dialysis, chemotherapy, late-term pregnancies, unfortunately won't be coming back today, but further this month.
Workers in grocery stores, pharmacies, some taxi drivers and daycare providers have already returned. Other essential workers going home early include staff at the city's airport. The RCMP is suspecting arson after a fire destroyed the Cheechachit Innu First Nation band office early Monday morning. In a news release, the Cheechachit RCMP say they received a call Monday around 5 a.m. of an active fire at the Band Council office building. The single-story building was completely destroyed. Thankfully, no one was inside the building at the time of the fire. RCMP confirmed to APTN News that they are investigating video evidence from the remains of the charred building and the neighboring Innu Nation building. The provincial fire services and police are continuing the investigation as a suspected arson. A small plane crashed just outside of Iqaluit, Nunavut this past Labor Day weekend. No injuries were reported. The crash took place about 2.5 kilometers outside the city on September the 3rd. The crashed plane was a Cessna 172. It was on a flight from Kuujjuaq, Quebec to Iqaluit. It was part of a fleet of 8 such planes being delivered to the Turkish Airlines Flight Academy. Request for comment was made to Transport Canada and Turkish Airlines, but was not returned prior to publication. Quebec's only addiction recovery center for Indigenous teens is welcoming its first in-person group this week after 9 months of community consultations, staff training, renovations, and restructuring. Amelia Fournier has more.
So this is our healing room where we have our smudging ceremonies. We could have our healing circles, talking circles.
Waldwin Center has been a place of transformation since 1996 for Indigenous youth ages 12 to 17 struggling with addictions. Now it's undergoing its own transformation.
These dream catchers are made by the youth either in a group session or done individually.
Pamela Charlong, the director of the center, says demand for the center's services went down since the start of the pandemic, even as mental health and substance abuse rates worsened.
We felt like we weren't hitting the mark with the former program, so hearing from the communities really enriched our vision of empowering youth on their wellness journey.
Wildwood Centre offered virtual-only services for the past 9 months and found out communities across Quebec and Atlantic Canada wanted more support for youth who had been through the program, more individual therapy, more land-based training, and more support for families, which Charlong says they've implemented for their next in-person cohort.
The program itself is really culturally rooted, based on strengths, to reinforce that hope, meaning, purpose, and belonging that the youth might have lost along their journey.
They'll still be doing activities like cycling, hiking, and making art.
Many of the youth that are coming in have had a negative experience at school, learning, being in that environment. So our goal is when the youth come to provide them a positive experience, a positive learning experience, a safe space, and really take the youth where they are at.
In addition to program changes, staff has been getting more training.
It's a good way to establish trust and letting them know that you really care about them.
They've taken down the old sweat lodge, a much-needed fresh start, says elder in residence Donna Jerome.
They let it out what they need to let it out. And when they leave, they need to be destroyed because of all the pain they have. So I have to give that to my Mother Earth, to take all the pain, what they put in there.
Jerome started off at the center as a firekeeper and has enjoyed taking over for the previous elder, performing ceremonies, guiding sweats, and teaching medicine.
I take over and I love it, and what he taught me, I carry what he taught me. I carry on his own teachings, and that's why I teach clients how to be a firekeeper. You know, how to be calm, how to be humble in here, because this is a secret place.
He was working there when Mona Kaltush, now a cultural mentor at the center, was there as a client when she was 16.
All the males, they're going to build frames, and females, they're going to tie with the women.
She traveled all the way from the Innu community of Nutashquan, 1,000 kilometers away.
Je suis rentrée au Wildwood, je me suis sentie respectée, je me suis sentie aimée, reconnue. J'avais beaucoup de sentiments positifs que rarement j'avais ressentis dans ma vie.
Kaltush says she realized she wanted to be a cultural mentor while attending the center and is looking forward to more land-based activities in the new program.
Je me rappelle, on nous a dit que plus tu vas pratiquer ta culture, plus tu vas guérir. Puis c'est vrai. Puis j'ai tout le temps été dans le bois après. Ça me permet de me reconnecter à moi-même, de m'ancrer, d'oublier les tracas de l'extérieur.
One of Kaltush's strengths is that she knows how struggling Indigenous teens feel.
Il y a de l'espoir dans la vie, là. Même si c'est sinueux, des fois, c'est sombre, il ne faut jamais lâcher. C'est ça, moi, que je veux transmettre comme message aux jeunes, qu'il y a de l'espoir. Quand ça te paraît impossible, c'est pas vrai. C'est possible.
Emilia Fournier, APTN National News, Kaskabegia, Quebec.
All right, it's time for one final break here on the show. Photo of the day and weather are next, plus a few other stories. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's time now for our photo of the day. From Lac Brochet, Manitoba, Matilda de Tanakis, I hope I got that right, Matilda, shared this evening shot of the sun creeping behind the skyline of trees to allow the night to take over the great sky. If you're watching right now and you're thinking, hey, I want to be on the next photo of the day, take 30 seconds and send us a great photo to share@aptn.ca, and it might just be our next photo of the day. All right, now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Beginning on the East Coast at 23 in St. John's and 25 in showers in Halifax. 8 degrees in Cartwright, a little cool there, and 10 in Happy Valley Goose Bay. 29 in Quebec City with some showers and 29 in Montreal. 25 degrees in Toronto and 19 in North Bay. Wawa's looking at 13 degrees and 17 in Sioux Lookout. 15 in a mix of sun cloud in Churchill and 16 in Norway House. 22 in Barons River and 23 in Winnipeg. 24 degrees in Regina and 20 in Saskatoon. 17 degrees in Buffalo Narrows and 14 in Stony Rapids. Continuing west, 16 in Fort Chipewyan and 19 in Peace River. 18 in Edmonton and 21 in Medicine Hat. 18 degrees in Victoria and 21 in Campbell River. Mix of sun and cloud and 18 in Smithers and 20 in Fort Nelson. 14 degrees in Whitehorse and 7 in Rock River. 20 in Clear in Fort Simpson and 19 in Norman Wells. 18 degrees in Fort McPherson and 16 in Inuvik. 12 in Cambridge Bay and 9 in Chesterfield. 4 degrees in Iqaluit and 4 in Iqaluit. Deb Haaland is the United States Secretary of the Interior and head of the country's Bureau of Indian Affairs. She is also the first Indigenous person to serve in the U.S. cabinet. She was in Ottawa today to discuss a number of issues of common interest with her Canadian counterparts, including missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and residential schools. The Interior Secretary also held a brief news conference, and here's a bit of what she had to say.
Prior to the border being between Canada and the United States, it was one continent. We have relatives on both sides of that border. We are all Indigenous people to this continent, and so what one country does, I think the other can learn from.
A shelter in Whitehorse is going solar thanks to a bump in funding from the federal and territorial governments. A combined investment of over $3 million is going towards Keoshi's Place. The facility will provide shelter for women and gender diverse people experiencing violence in Whitehorse. Planned upgrades include improved ventilation and renovated bathrooms and kitchens. Solar panels will be used for hot water. Officials say improvements will reduce the building's greenhouse gas emissions by 80%. The work should be done by June 2024.
Through this support, Keoshi's Place is able to provide much needed improvements to the facility that will ensure that survivors of domestic and gender-based violence have a safe, secure place that they can call home. And that's where they can begin to rebuild their lives for themselves and for their families.
All right, that is all we have for you this evening on APTN National News. For more information on any of our stories you have seen tonight, be sure to head online to our website at aptnnews.ca. For all of us here, thank you so much for joining us. Miigwech, and have a great evening.